let me show you something extremely terrifying and disastrous coming out of Spain. Okay, I don't know where to begin. I don't know what. Okay, just watch this.
Really wild video here. Chaos at the border of Spain's North African enclave in Morocco. This is a city called Ceuta. You're watching as thousands of migrants break through the fence and completely overwhelm the border police. Their video showing huge groups of people, mostly young military-age guys, cramming into inflatable tubes or arriving on shore in other ways, some of them wading in the water as they break through the gates to get to the other side. Sandra, this is reminiscent of kind of what we saw during the open border during the Biden administration through 2021, 2024, kind of similar to what we saw in Del Rio back in 2021. The socialist agenda, their platform literally says they want to abolish borders, abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement. This is what it looks like in another country if they get what they want. Notice there is no resistance from the government whatsoever. These people are coming in without any obstruction. And if people don't know, Spain has a very left-wing government. Earlier this year, they did a big amnesty program for over 1 million illegal immigrants living in the country. They had 1.3 million illegal immigrants apply for that amnesty program between April and June. So that's what we call a pull factor, Sandra. They're looking for something like that. They know if they can just get their foot in the country, maybe someday that left-wing government will do another amnesty program. And you were just reading some of the wires. The locals want an emergency declaration. It sounds like
the ministry's saying no, and they will not deploy military to the border.
Apparently, they don't think this is an I mean, look at this. This is a total free-for-all.
It does feel like we are looking at a few years ago when you were reporting at the border here in the United States. This is happening right now. This story is breaking.
The only difference is the United States has a strong military. The United States is a huge, huge country, the most powerful country in the world. So a few thousand men cannot jeopardize its survival. But Spain is a small country. It's a socialist woke country. And according to some estimates now, they have released official estimated numbers. Spanish National Police and Guardia Civil unions estimate around 12,000 Moroccans or other North Africans are crossing every hour. 12,000 Moroccans and North Africans are crossing into Spain every hour, with up to an estimated 80,000 already have crossed. Look at that. Imagine you live here. It's an invasion, guys. This is an actual, literal invasion. All fighting age men. What are you going to do? Oh, my goodness. Look, I think if you zoom out a little bit, in my opinion, the world is a lot more unstable than it was 10 years ago, yeah? We have enemies. We have competing narratives. We have competing powers, each vying for its survivability. We have Russia, China, Iran, the global south, so to speak, against the global hegemony of the West. And Spain has provided, Spain, which is on the frontiers of Western civilization, is the southernmost, westernmost Western country, and it borders with Morocco through the Strait of Gibraltar. And that's a weak point. And surprise, surprise, tens of thousands of men, fighting age men, are pouring into Europe, into Western civilization through Spain. We've already had these people pouring into Europe through Italy and Greece, and we've already got, what, 1.5 million, 2 million in the UK saying this.
سری هر کس افغان چی مشکل داشته باشه سری او انتیاری میکنم هیچ مشکل نیست در کجا هستی
So these people have poured into Europe and they've been doing what they've been doing. They've been doing this, raping and pillaging and murdering people. And the left wing of our society has been gaslighting the public, saying there's nothing to see here. So their narrative has been that, oh, these are all people, one world, one people, when in reality, you've got competing forces vying for control. You've got the Islamic power, you've got the Chinese influence, you've got the Russian influence, and then, of course, we've got our Western influence. All of this is happening. All of these parts are moving in their own direction. And the West, up until this point, let's say 20 years ago, was the strongest, most stable civilization. And the rest of the world, the global South, hated it. And it wanted to break the hegemon. So, due to the West's failures, it started importing people and started weakening itself from within. And which is why, fast forward 20 years later, Europe, the one wing of Western civilization, is terribly weakened. On the one hand, we've got Russia knocking on the door. And then on the other hand, we've got left-wing politics, or the left wing of our society, that is further weakening Western civilization from within. On the right side, on the other wing of Western civilization, is the United States and Australia and Canada, who are away from Europe, but they are well within the scope of Western civilization. Because they're on the outskirts, they are a lot stronger and a lot more stable, but they are also suffering from the left-wing narrative, the left wing of their own societies as well. Bring in more people, that's okay, perfectly okay. Bring in more people, that's perfectly fine. What they are not understanding that our world is headed towards a conflict, interpower conflict, inter-civilizational conflict. As I said, we've got the Chinese, we've got the Muslims, we've got the Russians. No coincidence that they are allies of each other. China may not be directly in a war with us, but it is supporting Iran, it is supporting Russia. So I don't know, when you zoom out and when you put all of those things into perspective, then you look at this, then you say, surely this is no coincidence. These are their soldiers. These are their sleeper cells. Iran has already warned the UK that we have thousands of sleeper cells in the UK and they're waiting for our order. When a hot kinetic operation begins, these people are going to do something. And guess who did this? Who caused this? Dirty Pedro Sanchez, a lefty, communist, corrupt politician, prime minister of Spain. A few months ago, he legalized 500,000 illegal migrants, he regularized them, legalized them, powered by the left-wing narrative that we're all the same people. And the narrative that he's driving, open borders, let everyone come in, it's not entirely ideological or born out of the goodness of his heart. It's because his survival depends on that, because there is a strong belief that he's bringing in these lefty, woke, socialist, communist people are bringing in these people from antithetical cultures because they believe that they will vote for them. That's how they will continue their survival, and they will remain in power and create their utopia. So we've got our competing narratives in the West as well. One is being driven by the left, one is being driven by the right, and we are both competing, and we have to come up to a sensible solution really quickly, because this is not sustainable. Look at these men. Look at these men. They hate the West. They hate everything about the West. They are not coming here to make Spain a superpower again. Look at this. Their invasion continued through the night. They're coming in, as I said, Spain's own police have estimated nearly 80,000 people have poured into Spain. 80,000. Look at this. How's that going to end well? Tell me. How is this going to end well? What are these doctors and engineers are going to do? So the left-wing narrative is no longer sustainable. At some point, we have to understand, we have to look at it from the civilizational perspective. And if Western civilization has to survive, if it is to survive, then it has to root out all of these elements, which is the reason why. Look at this. These are this poor Spaniards have been protesting for a long time. Look at this. This protest is saying Spain is Christian, not Muslim. España is no Musulmania. Remigration. Look at this one. Stop Islam. Our daughters are afraid. This has been happening on an industrial scale for a very long time. Look at this. An African man harasses a Spanish girl, Spanish woman at the beach. He's harassing her, asking her to, making lewd advances towards her. This has been happening for so long. It's been going on for so long. This English woman complained about this African stalking her. Look at this African guy that's stalking her. So once these people enter into Spain, they can go anywhere. They can go anywhere in Europe, and then from France, they can come into the UK. So they're all interconnected. We're going to pay a civilizational cost at some point, because the delusion spread by the left-wing ideology is no longer viable for the survivability of the West. It's no longer viable. So you have a status quo at the moment in the West. The status quo has been let everyone come in. There's been a populist movement against that status quo, and the narrative has been shifting that no, these people are not the same. They're antithetical. They're not welcome. So in order to change the status quo, you need a lot of energy, sometimes more than 50%, 60, 70%. Half of Australians believe that multiculturalism has failed, but have we stopped multiculturalism? No, because our society in Australia has made a decision that multiculturalism is good. And before that, there were competing narratives. There were various moving parts that led Australia to that path. And that became the status quo. It's the same in Europe as well. That became the status quo. Trump has changed that status quo in America. How long can he do that? That's another question. I think it might survive because all of this is happening, and this is not pretty for anyone. Unless you're a left-wing woke lunatic. In that case, you're like, oh, let them come in. These are doctors and engineers. We actually live amongst these people. Listen to this guy. What you just saw, yeah? This is scary, what you just saw. Let me show you something even scarier than that. Listen to this lunatic.
I have a very different view on this.
Go on.
Definition of madness, continuously trying to do something, doing the same thing and failing. You're not going to stop them. I've said this before years ago on your show. Go down to the beach, welcome these people. They are the very definition of entrepreneurs.
These guys are the very definition of entrepreneurs. Go down to these people and they will help you out. Later on, he says that these people, give them grants. He says, give them grants and they will become very successful businessmen because they have crossed the desert and the rough seas. These guys are being powered, literally they're being powered by lunatics like this guy.
They have traveled, they've used up their life savings, they've traveled across desert, difficult seas, they've beaten the odds. They are entrepreneurs. Meet them on the beach, give them a grant to set up in business. They will be successful business people within 10 years. I have a few caveats.
The survival of Western civilization depends on whether these people and their narrative wins or not, because at any given point, they're competing narratives. We have our narrative that this is bad for the future of the West, and they have their narrative that this is good for the future of the world. They believe humanity is above Western civilization. And we say our humanity is better. We don't need to serve the entire humanity at our own expense. We don't have to. We have a different civilization, Western civilization. We're going to look out for our interests. And our interests dictate that this narrative must not win. So this is what I've always been saying, a stress test of our civilization. Our democracy, our choices, our narratives have led us to this point where we have to decide whether this narrative wins or our narrative wins. We've tried liberalism. We have evolved. We've become more civilized than the rest of the world. But in the process, over the last 20, 25 years, we have weakened ourselves in the name of progressiveness, in the name of liberalism. So this is a great stress test of our civilization, of our institutions, which narrative comes out on top. Because if that guy's narrative comes out on top, we're doomed, we're screwed. And then again, as I said, when you zoom out, it's not just one aspect of it. Yeah, this is just one aspect. There's another aspect. Russia is looking to expand because Putin is on death rows. His country is going down. He could be assassinated. He may not be assassinated. There are various moving parts within his society as well. We don't know which one is going to prevail. But at the end of the day, he's not going to go down without a fight. Poland just reported that a missile has fallen into Polish territory. They are analyzing whether that was done on purpose, whether it is Russian or not. Western analysts have been predicting this for a while, that Putin might try to test our NATO's resolve. He might test it because he might want to expand it. He cannot use nukes because China has told him, because his alliance with China will break apart, because China does not want a nuclear war. Iran, we're already fighting with Iran. So a lot of these things are happening. Those countries are safe internally. We don't have Western spies inside China. We may have some Israeli spies inside Iran, but Iran is again the IRGC. They have a firm hold over their society. Putin is arresting people for even calling it a war instead of a special military operation. So they internally, they are somewhat okay because there are different types of societies. I mean, Putin, I don't know, someone could be planning a plot against Putin and he might be dead in a week's time. Who knows? We might not know. I'm not saying he will be, but he might stay on in power for another 10 years, in which case we're screwed. But we in the West are being hollowed out from within, from inside. If there are 1,000 sleeper cells in the UK, you could one day wake up and see some random asylum seekers start stabbing random people. What are you going to do? This is not as far-fetched as you might think it is. Iran has already said that they have hundreds of sleeper cells operating, laying dormant within the UK, and they're just waiting for their order. I don't know if it's true, it's bluff, I don't know. But what if it happens? That will tell you. And is that a coincidence that 80,000 Moroccans and that North Africans have poured into Spain today? So something is happening. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.